Hey, boys and girls, we're just going to go over a quick news recap. I was going to make a couple tweets, but I figured, hey, a video is probably better, less limitations on how many characters I can use. So, first, and probably not surprising to most of you, G2 bench Nexa. I think we all saw this coming, especially with the rumors circulating that they're potentially going for Mulbs, which I'll go over in a minute. I just want to say that I agree with the choice to remove Nexa. Although I just want to say something that I feel like it's not completely Nexa's fault. I feel like from what I remember, like Nexa was a caller. He was on other teams. He was more of like in the pack on T side, on CT side, maybe playing a little bit more rotation spots. Now, I don't know his whole history. Maybe he was a lurker at some point, but I never remembered him as a lurker. And they removed JKS for Nexa, which role-wise didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. JKS is a natural lurker, natural passive player. I never felt that way about Nexa, so I think if Nexa finds a team where he can kind of slot into a more comfortable role, he'll perform better than he did on G2. Obviously, I'm not defending his performance on G2. It was subpar at best. But I think we all saw, like, he wasn't his natural self, right? Like, you watch him on Inferno, he burns in a molly twice at the Dallas tournament, you kind of see some of his lurks are just kind of like poorly timed and stuff like that. And like, in his defense, at the end of Cloud9 before I got replaced, sorry, before I got replaced, I kind of got in the same situation where like Shroud no longer wanted to be the lurker. He wanted to be part of the pack to be more impactful. And I got put into the lurking role, which I agreed to. So it's not anyone's fault but my own, but I always regretted that choice because I was never a natural lurker. Like my entire career, I was always part of the pack. I was always playing like rotation spots on CT. So in a way, like I kind of sympathize with him a little bit where you kind of get pulled out of your element. You want to be like a good team player. Like realistically, if you're Nexa, you're not going to like take Nico's spots, right? Like I'm not going to be like, oh, whoa, you want Mini on Nuke? Nah, me, Nexa is going to get, like obviously you want to buff like Monacy and Nico. Like I would do exactly the same thing. I just think that like if he can join a team where he's more in a natural role, I think he'll do much better. So I don't think this is like the end for Nexa. It probably sucks. Obviously, who doesn't want to get carried by Monacy? I do. But, I think he'll be fine. But I just kind of wanted to, like, if you take a look at his stats, a .61 kills per round, .98 rating is all very, very average for a player that's supposed to be performing like a little bit higher. Like I'm not saying that you need to have Nico level stats, but I just feel like at this point, like Hunter is playing like kind of average, 1.06 rating, .66, not terrible, it's not great. And then you have Hooksy with a .52, which is like half a kill around. .8. I don't think you can have Nexa and Hooksy on the same team. I do think if, like I was saying with Mulbs, if they get Mulbs, that's instantly going to shoot up their firepower. You have a natural lurker who's good at playing slow. Some of his roles do overlap with Nico, but I'm sure they can work it out. I think they overlap a little bit more on CT side than on T side. Maybe some maps it overlap, but I feel like Mulbs is a pretty like good personality, good chill player, so I feel like he can mold into different roles even if he can't have some of the ones that he wants. So I'd be really excited if they get Mulbs. I was saying on my stream a week or two ago, I was like, maybe 3 weeks. I was just saying like, dude, I can't believe no one's buying out Mulbs. Like, I didn't expect G2, to be honest. I didn't think G2 was going to be the one to buy out Mulbs or potentially. I thought, like, I was saying, like, Liquid or Complexity should really just man up, pay the money for Mulbs. Like, not that I think M80 is a bad team, but, I think, like, Mulbs on Complexity, Mulbs on Liquid, instant firepower upgrades for both of them. It's just a no-brainer to me. So, nice to see, like, some people on G2 kind of, like, seeing that. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to make another change. Feels like they'll probably just do one for now. Maybe Hooksy is on the chopping block, potentially with, maybe they'll put him in a coaching role, have Nico call and get another fragger, something like that, maybe in the future. Who knows? I'm just making stuff up. It's really hard to say. I would say they probably just go for one change right now, but I feel like Hunter and Hooksy really got to, like, step up in the future. I think if Hunter keeps underperforming, it could be potentially him going. And Hooksy, I mean, I respect him as a caller and everything, but his fragging does need to step up a little bit, right? Like, at the end of the day, especially on CD sides. I think you can kind of make do on T sides by going first, kind of sacrificing yourself, buying Mac 10s, that kind of stuff. I think you can make a lot of room on T side while not fragging a lot, but I think CD side is where you really feel it, if you're not getting the frags that you're required to get, you don't have to go above and beyond as a caller, but I do think you have to be solid enough to just get your kills that are coming to you, and I think that does hurt them. Obviously, when you want to see a Nico on your team, you got a little bit of a saving grace there for when you don't. But anyways, that's my kind of thoughts on G2. So I think if they do end up getting Mulbs, I think that'll be a really, really, really scary roster. Like honestly, give them like a month or two to slot everything in, and get it all working, and yeah, man, that'll be a nuts roster in my opinion. So then we're gonna go to Liquid Bench cadiaN. Our time together didn't work out as we hoped, blah, blah, blah. So this is the weird one for me. This one is the one that obviously I saw it coming. I think we all saw it coming, kind of like the G2 one. Okay, so just first off, like, Kane and me not always on the best terms of everything, so I'm going to try to be as unbiased. This is nothing, like, none of my personal thoughts are going to come into this. This is purely just like CS. I think cadiaN's a good caller. I think he's a solid opper, but I don't think he's like a star opper. He's not someone you bring into your team to be like, this is our simple ZywOo, right? Like, he's kind of like a serviceable opper that kind of gets picks and opens things up for his team, but in reality, it's the riflers kind of like taking charge of most maps, and he's kind of there to facilitate them. That's the way I kind of, not that he can't have big games and he doesn't have nice rounds, it's just like he's not, putting, all the resources aren't going into the opper to drop 30 every game like they are with m0NESY and ZywOo and stuff. It's more like, it's almost like he's more like old Fallen, where like he's the one kind of like going in first to be on Dusty with his op. He gets a kill or misses, and then the rifles scale in. That's more of how I view him. Whereas like, on other teams, a lot of the oppers like Shiro and stuff, they'll be throwing nades and they'll actually go in and play more post plots. I think cadiaN's a lot more proactive, and as a caller, you can kind of call around yourself. You go, let me do this. You guys get ready. And it's a very, very good playstyle to have. Like, I actually really respect the way that cadiaN calls. My main thing with cadiaN is I think he needs a team of yes men. I think cadiaN will be fine. He'll join another team, but I feel like he needs to pick his team smart. So what I mean by that is like, he shouldn't join a team like G2 where he's not going to get full respect. He should not saying that they're going to pick him up, but he shouldn't join any of these teams that aren't going to like fully listen to him. Like a team like Fnatic, honestly, might be one of the better choices for him. You want a team with a bunch of people that are just going to listen, because his playstyle is very specific. In my opinion, it's very good. It's anti-strat heavy. It's very gambly. But if you do it right, it's very powerful. Very hard to play versus. But if your whole team doesn't buy into the system, it doesn't work. So I feel like on Liquid, you had too many different people with different ideas, different play styles, and I don't think anyone truly bought in his system. So I think this roster was kind of like doomed from the start, unfortunately. And like I said, I don't think it's completely his fault, but when you bring someone in that's an op-caller combo and they kind of have a certain playstyle, I think you really have to make that work. So I think they're going to be in a weird position, because whenever you cut an opper-caller, it's very hard to replace them, because obviously there's not a lot of op-callers. What is there, Fallen? It's not common that you have a lot of op-callers. So what I think is probably going to happen is, Skulls will probably be going as well, I would assume. And if we look at like some of the stats, on cadiaN, like Skulls has a 0.6, 2 FPR, a 0.99 rating. That's fairly poor. I don't watch a lot of Skulls. I don't know how much of this is his fault, so I don't like to harp on people that I don't know a lot about that I haven't watched recently, because I feel like that's unfair. I don't think it's fair to look at people's stats and just like shit on them for it. cadiaN 0.64. Now you're a caller, so you're not required, to drop bombs every game, but I will say that when you're an opper, you do want to be like a little bit higher than this, I think, like especially if a lot of resources are going to you. I do think he's been underperforming with the op in CS2. I think he was a little bit better with it in CSGO. So I don't know if that's completely due to the team or the dynamics or his skill declining or the game being different. It's hard to say. But I definitely think doesn't matter what roster he joins, I do think he's got to elevate his op a little bit. Maybe, just more personal practice. Or maybe just like new life gets maybe he gets reinvigorated by joining a new roster. That always happens too. Some people just play better when the vibes are good. Good vibes, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what Liquid should do. I mean, like the like for me, just looking outside, I'm like, okay, you get rid of cadiaN, you get rid of Skulls, you have Naf, Yekindar, and Twist, who, I mean, honestly, Naf and Twist have been kind of carrying this roster, right? Like, you look at Naf, 0.72, 1.18 rating. You look at Twist, 1.22, 0.77. Like, Twist has been killing it. Naf was killing it more at the start. Twist is killing it more now. But those two have been carrying them, in my opinion. Yekindar is the biggest disappointment of this team for me. I mean, I'm not opposed to them giving him another chance, because obviously if he can hit his old level, he's absolutely insane. I feel like he was kind of what we thought Donk was, or is. I feel like Yekindar was that guy that you just go out and get 3 kills all the time, but he's really kind of not been performing to that level at all, like a very large drop-off. So I feel like he's really got to step up, or else I feel like he's probably going to be replaced as well. But again, I think for this roster, minus cadiaN, minus Skulls, you got these 3. Maybe you get Simple. And then for the caller, I honestly am not sure. Like, obviously there's Nitro and NA. There's a couple callers. It's just like, dude, it's so hard with callers. Like, I honestly don't know. Like, honestly, trying to steal someone is good. Like, if G2 or someone, like, let's say cut Hooksy, or a team got rid of a caller, maybe you pick them up. It's really hard to say, man. Like, when it comes to callers, you also want the caller to gel with your team. So it's not even like just finding a caller. It's like you also want a caller that works with the players that you have. I guess potentially, I don't think Naf or Twist could really be callers. I don't know. I know Yekindar tried it. I don't think that worked out. So I feel like they have to get one. But I guess we'll see. But I mean, other than that, I don't really know what else they can do. I feel like the best player they can get is Simple. I know he hasn't really proven himself in CS2, but yeah, you could always go for some of like the you can always go for some of like the tier 2 players that I'm not sure how good their English are. How good their English are. But like you have like a lot of players. Like you have Headtrick, you got Deco. There's a couple players that are coming up that are solid oppers. I think even Steel not like I'm just saying like there are oppers they can get. I think oppers are less of a worry than callers though. So we'll see what they do. But I think like if they got liquid money and they want to be a contender, I don't know. I feel like Simple is probably the best bet. I mean like I think even Simple would be stupid not to take the offer just because. You have like Naf and Twist are awesome support players, and Simple's kind of takes up a lot of space himself. So I feel like Twist and Naf aren't really like overburdening players, right? They don't take up a lot of space or resources. They kind of just do their role and they do it well. So I feel like honestly, it would be a good fit for him personally. I mean, obviously you'd want a good caller, but yeah, I mean that's my opinion on Liquid. And then obviously Liquid and Fury negotiate Brazilians return home. So Skulls potentially go to Furia. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Skulls. I have a hard time commenting on this. Like I said before, I'm not sure why there's a huge fight for Skulls. I mean, like, I understand that he's like a passive player that is like a role player that's going to do what you say. So if they just want a player that's like a yes man, he seems like a good one for that. I know he's like ranked high by a lot of Brazilians I've talked to. Like I said, I don't know. It feels to me like they could maybe get someone slightly better or with more experience with this lineup. Cacerado, Yuri, Fallen, Cello. I mean, they've got a solid 4 right here. But again, like maybe on this roster he thrives. Speaking his native tongue, sometimes that can be, a burden. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I just, like I said, I have a hard time commenting, on that one, just personally. So, I don't like to speculate too much on what Fury is doing because I don't know all the inner workings. I don't know enough about Skulls, but, yeah, it's pretty much My opinions on the couple things that happened today. um, I was surprised it all got kind of released at the same time. But I mean, I think we all saw these things coming a little bit. And yeah, just tell me what your opinions. Like, who do you guys think G2 should get? Who do you guys think Navi? Who do you guys think Liquid should get? And do you guys think Skulls is a good choice? Because like for me, like I said before, Liquid, if they could get simple, that would be awesome. I think Mulbs is also a really good choice for G2. Although if I was Liquid, I would probably try to get Mulbs as well. I mean, if I was a lot of these teams, I would try to get Mulbs, right? Like potentially, if you're Liquid, you could try to. I mean, I don't think it would be easy, but I think like if I'm Liquid, maybe try to get a Liege back. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the buyout's probably way too high and it's probably not worth it. And I don't even know if Jason Lake would play ball with a move like that. I think he'd probably just say no. But I'm just saying, like, those would all be solid choices. But tell me if you agree or disagree with anything I said. Like, I'm totally fine getting criticized. These are just my personal opinions. So yeah, let me know what you think. Peace, boys.